Hi guys, hope you all doing well. Welcome back to our channel, and in this video I'm going to talk about the shadow IT discovery part of MCAS, a feature that can help you to get insights in terms of knowing which applications are getting used in your enterprise. Okay, so if you're watching the series from the beginning, in the last video we have discussed about the licenses and the role requirements for MCAS. Whereas the core agenda of this video will be knowing how to implement Shadow ID discovery feature of MCAS. How does the manual log upload works, or in which case you should set up automatic log collector? What is the purpose behind using Cloud App Catalog, or why app categorization is exceptionally important? We'll also talk about the methods that you can use to go ahead and check the compliance and the security certifications which are adhered by a specific applications, right? We'll also talk about how to manage risk scores. Depending upon your requirement, when you want an application to be a sanctioned application, or when you want an application to be an unsanctioned application, or whether there are any ways to create new custom app tags or not. Okay, now depending upon these tagging that you have done for different applications, is there a way to block those applications or not? So there is a lot more information that I'm going to cover in this particular video, and this is the most important video of the entire series. So spend some good amount of time in this particular video, and I will try to cover as much as possible. Okay. So this is the deck which I have used in the first video wherein I was referring about the shadow IT part, which is moreover associated with MCAS itself. But there is one thing which requires a lot of attention, and that is these two entities. The first one is corporate device, and the other one is the network devices, right? So, in order to know which application is used by which user, you can either monitor the logs which are generated on the endpoint, or you can monitor the logs which are generating at the network layer itself. That means since all the traffic is going through your network devices, you can monitor the logs which are getting generated over here. Okay, and this is just one of the use case of MCAS, or let's say the first phase, which is typically termed as discovery phase, wherein you are preparing your environment to discover what exactly happening. That means uncovering shadow IT itself. Okay, so we are going to focus on the first pillar of MCAS itself, wherein we are going to monitor the amount of logs or the kind of data which is getting generated on both of these entities. Okay, so let's talk about the endpoint first, because think about like this: if your endpoint is capable enough to send the information to MCAS, now it doesn't matter where that endpoint goes, whether the user is working in the office or whether the user is working from home. If the endpoint itself is directly communicating with the service, you will have real-time information. Now, this is something which obviously comes with a cost, because in order to achieve this state wherein your endpoints can send information, or wherein MCAS can actually understand the signals which are sent by the endpoints, you need MDATP license. Now, in a nutshell, what happens that since there is no agent for MCAS, that means you cannot install any agent on an endpoint that should directly send information to MCAS service. Instead, how it works that you will onboard your machines to MDATP, which is Microsoft Defender ATP, now commonly known as Microsoft Defender for Endpoints. And the portal that you have to access is securitycenter.windows.com. Okay, so once you have onboarded your machine to MDATP, there is a integration which is already being done, and all you have to do is you have to enable it for your enterprise. Okay, and then what happens, all the signals which are moreover related to cloud app discovery or the kind of applications which are accessed on that particular endpoint is actually being shared between MDATP data and the data which is required for MCAS. Okay, and in this way MCAS can help you to get more visibility in terms of what is happening on the device. Okay. Now, this is something which I would like to show in my console itself. So I'm going to switch to my browser where I can show you this option. So this is my browser where I have signed into securitycenter.windows.com, which is Microsoft Defender ATP portal. And then I have clicked on settings, and then I have clicked on advanced features. And as you can see, there is a button that you have to just switch on and the integration is in place. Okay. Now, what does this actually mean? That all the signals which are getting captured from an endpoint from a cloud app discovery perspective will be forwarded to Cloud App Security. And this will give administrators a deep visibility in terms of knowing how many sanctioned applications are getting used on the device and how many unsanctioned applications or which applications are getting used on that particular device that may fall under the category of shadow IT. Okay. Now, again, this is something which comes with the cost altogether, so you may need to think about it twice in terms of knowing whether you want to go ahead with this feature or not. If you already have, then go ahead and do this integration. You will get a lot more insights. Okay. Now, the next aspect of the cloud app discovery itself, which is moreover related to network devices, can be achieved with two different use cases. The first one is a manual upload of the logs. Now, what do I mean by this? That depending upon the device, the network appliance that I'm using, I can take a dump of some logs and I can get them uploaded to MCAS. And then I will come to know what all applications are getting used in my enterprise. Okay. But again, this is a manual process. Okay. And you may don't want to do it, let's say on a regular basis, let's say bi-weekly or daily or whatever your frequency is when it comes to getting the data uploaded to the MCAS instance itself. And the other aspect is to have an automatic log collector in place. That means I can have a VM that can run on Windows Server, Windows 10, or Linux as well, on which there will be a typical Docker deployed, and your network appliance will send the information to this particular machine, which will be injected in the Docker itself. And then there is a compression process that happens wherein the resultant value is only the 10% of the exact value which has been received as an input. Now, what do I mean by this? That let's say your network appliance is sending around 2 GB of data, okay, to this particular device or this particular VM wherein you have Docker in place. It will be compressed and only 10% of data, which will be somewhere around 200 MB, will be sent to MCAS. That means 200 MB is the amount of traffic or the data that will be routed through your external link itself. Okay, so these are the two methods which are available in terms of capturing everything from your network devices. Now, it doesn't matter that whether you have MDATP in place and you are capturing everything from the endpoint. It is also recommended to capture everything that's happening in your on-prem environment as well, because you may have certain resources that are connected to the public internet. Okay, and in case of a compromise, we all know that all the bad actors use privileged resources in terms of getting connected to the suspicious URLs or malicious endpoints. Okay, so it's absolutely important for you to have shadow IT for your on-prem resources as well. That means making sure the network data is also getting captured by MCAS so you can have more efficient shadow IT discovery. Okay, now depending upon the mode that you have selected, either the manual upload of logs or on-prem log collector, or let's say capturing data from the endpoints, once all this data is uploaded to MCAS, this data will be parsed and the respective results will be shown in the cloud discovery dashboard. Okay. Now, if we talk about the scope of this video, honestly showing you the process of getting a machine onboarded to MD-ATP would not make any sense because you may or you may not have MD-ATP license, okay? But when it comes to the integration that has to be done between MCAS and MD-ATP, I have already covered that option which you have to enable, okay? Now, there is something which is also very important and which I would like to address here, that depending upon your requirement, you can choose any of the methods which are listed over here. But my agenda is to make you familiar with the portal itself and make you understand that once you have the discovery information uploaded to MCAS, that means once you have the logs uploaded to MCAS, then what you should do next. Okay, so I'm going to cover the method of manual upload itself because there are a couple of other references as well which I want to use, which you should keep in mind because that is something which is going to help you to match the exact data format which is available depending upon the appliance that you are using. Okay, so I'm going to use the method wherein I'm going to create a snapshot report, a manual report, and I'm going to upload some logs, and depending upon those logs we'll start getting result on the console itself. Okay, so for that I'm going to switch to my browser where I'm signed in as global admin to MCAS portal, and then I'll show you how you can achieve it. Okay, so this is my browser where I have signed in as a global admin, and this is the home page of Cloud App Security itself. Okay, now as I've said before that if you are integrating MD-ATP with MCAS, then you will start getting information on the home page itself when it comes to cloud discovery. But let's say you want to choose any other method, likewise manual upload or creating a log a collector, then you have to go to the settings section. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on settings, and then I will again click on settings. Okay, now you have to click on this option which says snapshot reports. Okay, and then click on create snapshot report. Now this is my first report, so I can just name it as, let's say, first shadow IT. Okay, and then it is asking for a description. Okay, now this is the most important option because here exactly you are going to select your network appliance. Now there is a complete list of supported log formats or supported network devices for which you can upload data. Okay, so let's say I select this one, which is threat management gateway. Now the moment you will make a selection, the next option would be the option which you can go ahead and click and see what is the log format which is supported. So basically this can act as a reference point for you in terms of matching whether the log file that you have captured from your network appliance is matching with this log format or not. And then once you have validated this information, just click on close, choose the file that you want to upload, and that's it. Now, at times, depending upon the size of the file that you are uploading, it will take some time. Okay, usually it takes around 30 minutes to 2 hours, but in at times I have seen that it might take up to 24 hours to parse the information or the logs which you have uploaded. Now the maximum size of per log file is 1 GB. Now this is something which is as of now getting listed on this particular portal. It may get increased in the future, but let's keep the current references in place. So as of now, keep this in mind that if you have multiple files or if you have a lot more information getting generated, if the log size is huge, make sure you break it down into multiple files and then get them uploaded. Now, once you have uploaded the logs, just click on create and a snapshot report will get triggered. Now, what do I mean by this? That once you have clicked on create, the data upload will get started, and then MCAS portal will take some time to get that data parsed successfully, and then you will get this particular status of your report which says ready. That means depending upon the information that you have uploaded, all the analysis has been completed and different reports are generated which you can review. Okay, so once you have completed this part, then all you have to do is you have to click on ready. But before I click on ready, I would like to show you the four-step process of a CASB solution typically which exists, to which MCAS also adheres to, and that is the first one would always be the discovery process. That means wherein you want to know what exactly going on. Okay, now depending upon the discovery process, you will investigate. That means how many applications have low risk score, just an example, or how many applications are not adhering to certain security or compliance standards. Then you can have policies in place, which means if any specific instance occurs which falls under this particular scope, then the respective set of users or admins should be alerted so that they can take governance action. So this is the four-step process which typically happens in a CASB solution, and that's exactly what's happening in MCAS as well. Okay, so now the moment I will click on ready, I will be redirected to a page wherein I will get insights about the data that I have uploaded in terms of how many applications exist, which may fall under the category of sanctioned and unsanctioned applications, what are the different IP addresses, how many users are discovered, what amount of data is either uploaded or downloaded. Okay, now, depending upon the data which I have uploaded, you can see that there are multiple categories which are getting listed over here, and which actually means that there are many applications which are getting used in your enterprise that falls under the category of cloud storage, or let's say marketing or hosting or IT service or content management. Now, this is something which is basically a part of Cloud App Catalog itself, wherein something happens called app manifestation. Now, what do I mean by this? That whenever an application is detected for an enterprise, okay, a CASB solution has to query and has to check how reliable this application is and in which category it falls. Okay, on behalf of that, on behalf of the results which a CASB solution analyzes, you get this categorization listed over here. Then you can specifically see the name of the discovered apps depending upon the logs that you have uploaded, and every dashboard that you see here is something which can be customized. So let's say instead of all categories, I only want to know how many applications that exist in the enterprise which are a part of content sharing. So as you can see, these are the applications which are as of now being used, which are a part of content sharing. And every option that you see here can be customized depending upon the kind of information that you are looking. Now, this is something which applies to all the dashboards, and these are default dashboards which are there out of the box. Okay. Now, the next thing that you see here is a section specifically for discovered apps. Okay, now this is the most important section wherein you are going to spend a lot more time in terms of understanding what's exactly going on in your enterprise. Okay, but before I go ahead and talk about this particular section, I would like to talk about sanctioned and unsanctioned applications. Okay, now, when it comes to sanctioned and unsanctioned applications, these are basically two different tags that gets associated with applications. And this is something that you have to do. Okay. So basically what you have to keep in mind that all the applications which your IT team is aware of should fall under the category of sanctioned applications, and all the applications which you want to block should fall under the category of unsanctioned applications. Now, basically, this is something which is moreover related to by design behavior itself. That means when you tag any application as unsanctioned application, Microsoft Cloud App Security Portal will get a block script created for you that you have to run on the network device, and which results in terms of getting that application blocked for your enterprise. Okay. But when we talk about the other aspect of how things actually work in practical scenarios and in real-time scenarios, that there is something which always lies in between, which we called exceptions, right? So let's say you have discovered certain applications which are not a risky application. They are adhering to all the security and compliance which is required for your enterprise. And it's not only about that MCAS, or when it comes to shadow IT discovery, you are only going to discover negative information, right? At times, shadow IT discovery would also let you know the details about some of the good applications which are getting used in your enterprise that you may want to consider as an alternate option. Right? So let's say I'm using any cloud storage application for which the risk score is low, right? But then there is an application which is not approved in my enterprise, but there are many users which are using them and which is actually better compared to the application which I'm currently using. Right. So in that case, I can place that application in the monitoring category, and I can have a couple of people, review that application. And then depending upon the insights that I get, I can actually keep that application in the category of either sanctioned or unsanctioned applications. Okay. Now, an application is only tagged as unsanctioned when you want to block that application. Okay. Otherwise, there is no need of keeping an application in unsanctioned mode altogether. So now I came back to my browser, and let's talk about the Cloud App Catalog itself. This particular console is something which is referred to Cloud App Catalog. You can access this from the snapshot report that you have created, and you can also click on this particular option of Discover, and then click on this option which says Cloud App Catalog. Now, Cloud App Catalog basically means a list of the known applications to MCAS, and once they are detected in your enterprise, MCAS portal has the capability to show you all the relative information. Now, what do I mean by this? That the log that I have uploaded, the sample file that I have uploaded, that has some information or that has some references in terms of the traffic, which is moreover related to, let's say, Microsoft Dynamics, right? Now, in order to present the current state of Microsoft Dynamics application, MCAS has all the set of information when it comes to knowing the security certification which this application adheres, the compliance standards, the GDPR standards. Okay, so when you will click on any of the application that has been discovered by the Cloud App Discovery, you'll see that all the different parameters, which are now somewhere close to 80, you'll see which standards are actually adhered by these applications. And based on the standards that are adhered by these applications, you get a risk score listed over here. Now, the greater the risk score is, the less risky the application is. Yeah, so this green color over here means that this application is safe. So let's say I just want to know that, give me the list of all the applications which have risk score less than 0. All I have to do is I have to just apply a filter from here, and that's it. You'll get all the information. So in a nutshell, what can be done, that we can have policies in place which says that if any application has a risk score less than 6 or 4, keep that in monitoring phase or get that application blocked. Okay. Now, the last thing which I would like to show you on the portal is the app tag itself. Okay, so you can go ahead and click on all these options, make yourself familiar with the console itself. But when it comes to knowing what all inputs MCAS can give you, it's moreover related to the risk score of the application itself. What are the certifications which an application hold? And then there is something called customizing the risk score itself, wherein you can go ahead and customize the risk score for an application. Now, this is very important for you to know, because let's say your enterprise is developing an application and nobody in this world knows about that application. Now, since the public application manifestation of that application which you have developed does not exist, then MCAS will not be able to give you more insights, right? So you may want to come here and customize the risk score of some of the known applications for which MCAS doesn't have any reference. Okay. Now, Let's say this is the list which you have seen as per your filter that you have applied, but let's say in this particular stage you want to keep all this in monitoring, right? So how you should go ahead and create an app tag, just click on these three dots and then click on this option which says create app tag. Now whatever app tag that you will create over here will start getting listed once it is available for the configuration, and then you can go ahead and add all these applications for a specific tag, and then you can ask your team to come to this particular console, review this console, and see what's exactly going on, how much information is getting uploaded or downloaded, or how many security standards or compliance standards, or let's say legal standards, are adhered by all these applications. Okay. Now, the last thing that I would like to talk about would be moreover related to unsanctioned applications itself. So let's say, depending upon all the filters that I have applied, that my application should have, let's say, FINRA certification, okay? Or let's say any filter that you have applied from here, you are getting some results, and on behalf of which you have decided that you're going to block this application, or you're going to name this application as unsanctioned, okay? Or I'm sorry, I clicked on the wrong option, so I'll click on unsanctioned. Okay, and then again, let's say this is the one which I want to unsanction. So in this way, I have actually blocked two applications. Now, since MDATP license is required for endpoint integration, but the fact is that once an application is unsanctioned from here, it will get blocked on the device itself because it is directly communicating with MDATP. But when it comes to network, when it comes to getting an application blocked for your entire enterprise, this particular console itself will give you the option to create block scripts. Okay, so as you can see, I'm getting this option of generate block script. The moment I will click on this, depending upon the appliance that I'm using, okay, uh, let's say I select Cisco. Okay, and I'll click on generate a script. Now a script will be downloaded on my machine. It's fairly simple, right? It's just a couple of commands that needs to be executed on the device itself, and then the respective traffic for these endpoints will be blocked. So in a nutshell, what happens once you have an app categorization done when it comes to unsanctioned application, the portal will give you the privilege to create block scripts, and then these block scripts can be triggered on your on-prem network devices and the respective applications will be blocked. Okay, so this was all about knowing how the shadow IT discovery part works, and this is the first video for shadow IT discovery itself. So let's talk about a quick summary of what all we have discussed. We have discussed about how the manual upload works, how you can go ahead and configure the automatic log collector. We also discussed about Cloud App Catalog, how to check compliance and security certifications of an application, how to manage risk score, what are application tags, and how to block an application at the network layer itself. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the advanced queries or filters that you should need to know about the Cloud App Discovery itself. So if you think that this video or this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please feel free to subscribe and share this video with your technical community. Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.